quilters. I'm up bright and early in the morning before the house gets up to make this video for you. Forgive me if I have a sneeze attack because the elm pollen is in the air, and for whatever reason I'm extremely allergic. I sneeze and sneeze, so forgive me. Today we're going to be doing this pattern, and we're going to start with this. Readjust that. We're gonna start with this, which is I guess it'd be an Ohio star block or a Missouri star block, but I think this is an Ohio star. We're gonna start with that, and I have selected two neutral fabrics that complement one another. So this has gray print on it, and this has gray flowers on it, and it doesn't really matter which fabric you choose for what. As a minimalist, I'm probably going to make half of my HSTs in the gray, and then the rest of this will be in the lighter fabric, just to keep the flow of the neutrals in my quilt, just to make sure that my eye doesn't focus on this and that it flows. So again, you are going to select two neutrals that complement one another. I suppose you could go scrappy with this. I'm trying to keep my neutrals kind of toned down so that it really focuses on the blue in the quilt. You can make this however you like. Let's begin. Okay, today we are going to call method 1. This is method 1. We're going to be using our companion angle ruler, and I've got two strips that are 1.5 inches right sides together, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my 1.5 inch line on the bottom line of the fabric, and then this top edge should be flat with this edge of the fabric. If it's not, you've cut your fabric incorrectly. Make sure when you cut your 1.5 inch strips that the line on your ruler is on the fabric when you cut, and it will give you a more accurate block. And for each, we're going to be making 4 of these, so for each one of these we need 2 sets. 2 sets times 4 will be 8 sets, so you will need to do this 8 times. And then I'm going to, so I don't get turned around, I'm going to feed all of these the same way through my machine, sewing on the same edge. Alright, I have ran these through the machine. I am going to press these to the dark side, and if you'll notice, each one of these is sewn on the same side. Finger press, and then you'll match your pair, nesting your seam. And remember, when you're sewing these, you want to use a scant 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to sew on the long edge. Alright, I have sewn on the long edge. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to spin my seam. Finger press, and I'm going to take a measurement, and my block should measure 2.5 inches. And it does, so I'm just going to snip off my dog ears. Alright. Alright, there's 1 down. You need four more to do of this. Alright, if you're doing method 2, which is draw a line method, you will need your friction pin, and you're going to select the lighter of the 2 fabrics, and on the back side you're going to draw a line from corner to corner. Actually, you're going to put right sides together. Sorry, my allergies are horrible right now. Not thinking straight. Okay. just had a sneeze attack off camera, and I'm going to cut from corner to corner. And then I'm going to turn these facing the same direction, and I'm going to sew on the same side. Alright, so I have my QST sewn, or half of them sewn, and I'm going to press to the dark side. Wow, that looks really big. What the heck? Alright, I'm looking at a screwy QST graph, and I'm not sure. It was kind of unclear. It looks like these should have been cut 3 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and use this just because I don't want to waste fabric. So I'm going to sew on the long side. Yeah, this is way too big. Anyway, that's how you make a QST, and I will make sure that I correct any verbiage I've said previously. These will need to be cut smaller. And I'm going to trim this down to 2 1/2 inches. And I'm going to line it up on the 1 3/4 mark cross hatch and trim, which is right there. Yeah, that's wasting way too much fabric. But all of these blocks you will need to trim up, so there was going to be a little bit of waste on all of them. And I cut it wrong. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's huge. Huge. So you're going to line it up, sorry, on the 1 1/4 inch for your 2 1/2. My allergies are really kicking my butt. I'm not even thinking straight. That's better. And again, regardless of method, you will make 4 of these. Okay, and so as far as the bomb, so these blocks are going to lay out, the hourglass blocks are going to lay out like this. So I am going to cut 5 2 1/2 inch squares, and then I'll sew them together like a 9 patch. Alright, the next block we're going to do, we actually made this very same block last week. Was it last week? Maybe it was the week before last. I now don't remember. Anyway, we're going to be making another 9 patch. This is the one spot in the quilt that it's going to matter how you press your seams. So however you press them in this block, we want to make sure that we go opposite on this one. And because we already have this block just above in this other 12-inch block up here, I don't remember if it's here or up here, we want to go a little bit different with this. So play with your fabrics, choose your fabrics wisely, and make greater impact with this one, or make a different impact with this one than you did with this one in the quilt. Okay, for my fabrics, I am going to select, this time I'm going to make the background contrast to the block next to it. So because I went with grays in this one, I'm gonna go with tans or creams in this one, and I'm gonna make the back of the block stand out in this one. So I'm gonna make my 4 HSTs using my white and my off-white, and I'm gonna demonstrate method 1 first, which is gonna be using the easy angle ruler. Which I guess I need to find. Found it. It fell on the floor. To keep anything in this house, I swear. Alright, so nothing new. We've used this easy angle ruler several times now. We're gonna hang the black tip off the edge and line up our 2.5 inch mark. And again, these are 2.5 inch strips. And I'm gonna make 4 of these. And then you will sew on the long edge. Alright, and I am going to press my HSTs to the darkest side. And I will trim if necessary. And it looks like all I need to do is trim the dog ear. That's why I love this ruler, because I'm not using extra fabric to make the same block, and so I'm saving yardage in each quilt. Okay, next one I will show method 2, which will be the draw line method. Alright, I just drew a line on the back of my lightest square. And these are 3-inch squares, and you're going to put them right sides together, and you are going to sew 1/4 inch on each side. I am going to turn my light on so I can see. I apologize if this is creating a glare. And there. Alright, you're going to repeat this very process twice. So you're going to get your HSTs from doing this twice. You will need 4 total. And then we are going to turn around and press to the dark side and trim to 2.5. And again, earlier I was saying that I like that other ruler because you don't lose so much yardage in each quilt. And if you think about it, I'm losing 1/8 of an inch on this one and 1/8 of an inch on that one, plus it's times 2 fabrics, so that's 1/2 inch of fabric for each one of these HSTs that I'm losing. Where the way that this ruler works is that it goes into the dog ears, which you have to trim off anyway, so that's why I like using that ruler. Remember, trim to 2.5 inches. And the reason why sometimes these come out so wonky is because you are sewing on the bias. So cut yourself some slack. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to function the same in the quilt after it gets washed and gets all wrinkly anyway. Alright. I will repeat that 2 more times with method 2. Alright, I have my 5 background pieces cut out, and yes, this is the same as this. It just was a lighter spot, so I chose to put it in the middle. I'm going to sew this like a 9 patch. This time last time I pressed out, didn't I? No, last time I pressed in, so this time I'm going to press out on these two and then in on this one. Yeah. So I'm going to sew this together, and you are almost done making your neutrals this week. All right, I've got my 9 patch made. If we flip it over and compare it, I guess it wouldn't have mattered how, if you spun your seams, it wouldn't really matter how you press this one, because you can always rotate it. If I accidentally had my seams going in the same direction, you would just rotate it and then they would be spun, so you wouldn't have alignment issues. So yes, this works. Now let's play with our blues. Alright, so the next one we're going to make is we're going to make this quadrant right here, which looks like flying geese, but really it's just for HSTs. I'm not sure what direction I'm going to take with fabrics. This is going to be tricky for me. Because this is a 4 patch, I know that my blocks need to measure 4 inches, so I can use a bigger print here possibly, but I'm going to play with this and I will show you what I chose. Alright, here are the fabrics I selected. This blue has got like a tealish green in it, so I paired it with something that also has green in it. It does have a bunch of lighter spots in it, which may stand out a little bit in the quilt, but because these pieces are bigger, I think it's going to be okay. So I've cut my 2 squares. We're going to do method 1 as draw a line method. I've cut my 2 squares at 5 inches, and I'm going to take the lighter square and draw a line on it, and then sew on either side of the line. And the great thing about batiks, there is no right side or wrong side. And incidentally, this is a batik by Monique Jacobs. Got it in one of my Open Gates box, which I was never going to make a pattern, so I'm utilizing it here instead. Alright. Alright, I'm going to sew on each side of that line. Alright, I have sewn on each side of this line, and now I'm going to cut on the line. And I'm going to press to the darker side. And I will repeat this one more time to make the row, the next row. And now I need to trim to 4.5 inches. 4.5? No. I think I miscut these. Oh, hang on. Okay, I should have started with 4-inch squares instead of 5-inch. But I'm going to be cutting these down to 3.5 inches, which is so much waste, God. This is why I don't like quilters math. I'm not used to doing it because my rulers make me lazy. So much fabric waste, gosh. I feel horrible. So again, you're going to start with your original draw line method squares at 4 inches and then trim down to 3.5 after you've smoothed your HSTs. Okay, for method 2, I'm going to use my easy angle ruler. And I'm going to cut at 3.5 inches. So these strips are 3.5 inches, so I'm going to line up my 3.5 inch line here and then have my tip hang off. And if you're using this method, you will need to cut 4 HST units. I'm only demonstrating 2. And then you will sew on the long edge. Okay, and just like in method 1, method 2, using the easy angle, I'm going to press to the dark side. On this, it probably doesn't really matter. And then I will trim up to 3.5 inches square. And it looks like I'm just trimming a sliver off that edge. And a little bit more than a sliver off that edge. All right. So I like how making this with directional print made a difference in how these are. Now I have the option to turn these like this, or have these to the center, or I could even do that. I think I'm going to do that. I like that. So I've just made a great big chevron, even though that's not how it is in the pattern. I like the layout of this. It's going to add visual interest, and maybe let's see what happens if I do this. Do I like that? Hang on, let's make these go the same way. There, they're all going the same direction now. I actually like this better. I'm gonna go with this. Okay, and the last block we're gonna make a pinwheel. So I'm not going to show method 1 again. If you need to know what size to cut, you can refer back just a little bit previous in the video. Let's see. So you'll want to cut your squares. If you're doing a draw a line method for this, you're going to want to cut them at 4 inches. Draw your line, sew on either side. Press to the dark side. In this case, it probably doesn't matter, but you do want to pay attention to your pressing. So this seam goes this way and this seam goes this way, so it depends on how you spin your pinwheel. If your dark colors are going to be on the right, you're going to want to spin them one way, and if they're on the left, you're probably going to want to spin them another way. It's not really going to matter. It's just a little hump of fabric if you don't press it right. So today I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the easy angle ruler again. I am going to make 4 pairs, right sides together, and just like we've been doing for several weeks now. And just previously, these are 2 3-inch strips, and you're gonna put your easy angle ruler with your black tip hanging off, and you're gonna make your cut and make another cut, and you're gonna do that 4 times for this block. All right, your pinwheels. So again, you're gonna open to the dark side, and you are gonna trim to 3.5 inches. And I could tell by looking at this one it was going to need to be trimmed. That one of these fat quarters is a Joann's fat quarter, and no matter what, when you press, those things get wonky. You can starch and they still get wonky. So very thin fabric. Am I going to receive hate for saying that? I hope not. All fabric's not created equal, that's for sure. I probably don't have to tell any of you that. You probably already know that. Let's see. Oops. Dark side. And I just got done sneezing while I was off camera. My windows are open and it's not helping, but it's nice and cool. It's going to be a beautiful fall day. I have been waiting for this all summer. That 100-degree and 99-degree heat for weeks and weeks got old. Alright, now I need to decide which way I'm going to spin my pinwheel. Either way, I guess it's the same. Alright, I can turn them like that and make my dark on top, or I can turn them like this, and it's not really going to matter. And then you'll just sew your 4-patch, and then we'll bring it all together. Okay, so here's where you're going to want to pay attention to this seam. So this seam is pressed this way, which is directly above this. So I want to spin this one the opposite way. So I'm pressing it that way. Again, you can press these however you want. Whoops, and I pressed that one the wrong way, or did I? No. Yes. Alright. So I know I'm going to be able to nest that seam as well. Alright, let's see how I did. So my seams are perfectly nested. They're spinning lovely. And it's opposite of this, so that's what we wanted. And I need to take a measurement and make sure this is 6.5 inches. And it is. So I'm going to proceed to sew these together. Okay, so also the same thing goes for this block. If these are going outward, then this block needs to go inward, and you will just sew your 4-patch together and we will be done. I would show you the back of this, but my seams flipped. So irritating. Sometimes my machine flips my seams. It's not me, it's my machine. Anyway, I've got this pressed and it should measure 12.5 inches. And it does. And so this will be quadrant C. Is this C1? Yeah, this is C1. And this one was a relatively easy one, minus all my cutting errors because I don't know what I'm doing. But I'll have all that corrected, and we'll also offer the correct sizes in written format on my blog. Make sure to visit my blog. I'm going to link it below in the description, and it'll be hyperlinked, so you can just click on it and it'll take you there. You can print off the pattern. I'll also offer the printable as well. You may not need it so much for this, but those of you who don't have all the fancy rulers and don't have all that extra yardage to use for fabrics, it's probably a pretty good idea to lay those templates out and just use a straight edge and cut them with that, and it'll get you to the same point. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. I appreciate this immensely, and my goal is for you to have a beautiful quilt when this is done. And I have no doubt in my mind that each and every one of these is going to be extremely different, and each and every one of them is going to have their own highlight and their own individuality, and that is the beauty of quilting. Each one is a work of art.